Good morning. This is me, Asha Dan. I'm the founder of Women in AI Ethics, coming to you live day 2. I'm at AI with Purpose at Siemens in Munich, Germany. Today I have with us Laura Angelheart. Welcome, Laura.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm really looking forward to this conversation. So, hello, I'm Laura Angelheart. I'm the head of strategy at Siemens Foundation Technologies. And today we're going to talk about AI, right?
Absolutely. That is a topic du jour. I'm actually very looking forward to this. So, Laura, you have a very unique background. You're a mechanical engineer. You also are a leader in coaching, empowering women. You also work, you said, it's scholar in social entrepreneurship. You have a very unique background. Can you share with us, how does that shape your approach to innovation strategy?
Yeah. So, for me, it's basically 3 things that now culminate together. And I would say the first thing is impact. So what I learned in the social entrepreneurship world, but also in the coaching world, is what impact do we want to create? And I think AI is one of the main issues where we can create impact right now. But so what I always do is whatever we do, what is the impact we create? And this in an industry world means how can we scale? So it means what kind of impact do we have on society? What kind of impact do we have on technology? What kind of impact do we have for our customers, for us the most important personas? And what kind of impact do we want to leave on the planet? And then this ties back to the question of where am I and am I on the right spot? And I would really encourage to everybody to ask this question. So this now comes from the coaching world. In an innovation part, you need the best team on the deck to get the greatest impact. And for yourself, this means where is my best place? So where is a place where I can create the impact that matters most to me? And that also ties back to my talents, my background, my curiosity. And once this matches, then the question is, how do you build the team? And here I would say it's about even radical collaboration. So all hands on deck, all departments on deck that are needed, all networks on deck, and for a company, all partners on deck. So it's really up to the whole of us to make this work together. But without compromising speed. So just get it done in your way.
Amazing. Who says you can't have it all? I like that approach. I attended your keynote yesterday. I was so inspired, and I'm glad we were able to have this conversation, because I saw that you lead with values, you lead with purpose, which is why we are here at the summit. And this is my second year here. So I hear what you're saying. People, the purpose, and the culture, and partners, and also making sure you deliver all of that and do it at speed. Amazing. So your previous role was head of innovation strategy, technology and innovation strategy, but now you specifically focus on Siemens Foundational Technologies. Can you help our audience who may not be very familiar with these technologies, what that means?
Yeah. So before that, I worked in an environment where we basically were looking into future technology. So it was a lot about research, about pre-development. And now we combined this with all technologies that we need to enable our whole company, so Siemens, to speed up in digitalization and AI. So now we're talking about the future tech, but we're also talking about building blocks for today's tech. And you attended my keynote yesterday, and yesterday I said AI is going to transform the whole industry as no other technology ever had. And so most things are about data and AI, to be honest. So there's a lot of data and AI related technologies, but then it's also about the intersection of AI to other parts. So, for example, look at humanoid robotics in the future, or look at how can we merge AI with simulation, how can we merge AI with the digital twin and others, which then leads to the industrial metaverse. So one big part is always looking into what are future tech coming to us and what do we do out of that. And the other part is then specifically focusing on what are the digital building blocks, starting from very easy things like identity and access management to much more complicated things like what are agentic frameworks that we provide to the whole company.
Amazing. That was so helpful. One of the things would like to point out the difference between consumer AI and industrial AI. The biggest difference is how AI is not, it is part of a bigger system or it's a combination of different technologies. So it's important to make sure all of this work together and they work well. With the increased usage of AI, there's one concern that keeps coming up, and it's a very valid and relevant one, is cybersecurity and also compliance. Can you talk to us about how you guide the enterprises and governments as, yes, we move with speed, but we also do it safely and securely? What's your approach?
Yeah. So at Siemens, we have the saying where we say AI needs to be industry grade. And what we mean with that is it needs to be secure, it needs to be trustworthy. So we cannot just hallucinate something. We need very precise answers in industry, and it needs to be robust. So if we have an AI solution that runs in a factory and gives us the wrong numbers and the whole factory stands still, this is a very expensive cost. So very different to writing a poem using ChatGPT or getting a good recipe for which are helpful things, but not in an industrial context. And Siemens has been working on AI actually since the 70s. So it's a long, long background, long before GenAI came up. So these values and principles are instilled in everything we do per se, and everything else we add on it, they still need to meet all those requirements. And this is also why we sometimes see that industrial AI is a bit lagging behind consumer AI. But at the same time, I think it's also a good thing because we get accustomed to what AI can do. We learn in our private lives, and then we also apply it to industry. And in industry, we have one really cool thing because whatever we do, it has a real impact. So if we can make our power grids more stable, for example, this affects all of us. And so this is basically, for me, this is the difference between consumer AI and industrial AI.
Absolutely. What you said about the scale, that it's not just you're creating a poem or a picture with this technology, you're doing something so much more powerful, you're adding value, but then it also impacts so many different stakeholders as well. And with, like you said, the power grids, there's hundreds, thousands, even millions of people affected. So it would lag because you have to do so much more due diligence. So that absolutely makes sense. So my next question is about the role of innovation and of startups in innovation. So can you help us understand, even beyond startups, like the AI ecosystem, like what is the approach that you are guiding governments and enterprises on, like how do you build those ecosystems?
Mm-hmm. So startups, they have one advantage, and this is speed. So they can, in the beginning, they can just try out anything, and then later on build all the processes that match then for us in the industrial world, for example, cybersecurity and so on and so forth. And we think that there is a great potential in it. And that's why we deliberately try to, also do, collaborate with startups. And this we do in a centralized approach. So we have one voice to all startups. It's called Siemens for Startups. And here in the very beginning stage, we enable startups to build their products faster by giving them free licenses to our software or licenses at very little costs. And then once they grew a bit bigger, they have their first market customer fits, they have their first products, they have their processes in place. Then we also collaborate with them in a venturing clienting approach. So we get them in, we try it out and test. And once we see that this is working well, so we get value out of it, then we also go together with them to our customers. So Ethan AI, for example, is a good example for that. And therefore, there we have a whole ecosystem created at Siemens. It's called Siemens Accelerator. And the idea or the vision behind is that, like a Lego Play, we can plug and play products, but not only ours, also those of external partners that match well. And so what we do with partners and startups that match well with our own is we bring them on the accelerator marketplace as well. And then they can even offer to our products, so our customers. So we open up the whole ecosystem to speed it up. So this is one of the enterprise answers. And now if you look at the government, there has been a huge wake-up call in Europe as well. So Europe now is mobilizing 200, or the goal is to mobilize 200 billion euros in the next years. And I think that's a really good sign in terms of bringing the whole power of the ecosystem and the industry also together and to leverage that.
Huge. That's a huge opportunity for sure. So last question for you, because I know you're so busy. It's about you were on the jury for the 16th Innovation World Cup at Hannover Messe recently. We have many women in our community who would like to start the entrepreneurial journey. Industrial AI can be a little daunting. It is male-dominated. What is the advice you would give them on this entrepreneurial journey as they're getting started, or maybe they already have a startup? Like, what's the best way to maybe engage with Siemens, and how do they grow the business?
Mm-hmm. So first is, I would love to see more women in startups. So please just do go start it. Well, I mean, if you build a startup, it's always about what is the product market fit. So radically test this very fast. And in order to do so, I would advise every women founder to really make use of any kind of ecosystem that is there. And there are many, like at Unternehmertum in Munich, for example, but others in Germany as well. And then I would especially women startups advise to also radically collaborate, which means try really to reach out to build your network fast, professionally, but also emotionally. So reach out to other women founders, etc. And to work together with Siemens, this would be the program that I mentioned, Siemens for Startups, in the early stage, to get support by leveraging our software. And then once the product market fit is there, and it's a little bit later stage, also in collaboration. But the first thing I personally would really say is tying it back to the impact question. What are you here for on this planet? So what is it you really want to create the impact? And once you have this straight, I think it keeps you going, even if there are some bumps on the road ahead.
Laura, thank you so much. That was so inspiring. Exactly what we needed to hear. So many women out there listening to this. I know they will be inspired to go take the next step. And again, as you all know, you're not alone. There are a lot of people out there, women out there. Go reach out. So thank you, Laura, so much for joining us today.
Thank you, Mia.